I'm Gary Birtles, one of the old gits from a long time ago. You've got to tune into Tricky Talks, I believe, so just do it. All the best.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello, welcome to the Tricky Talks podcast. After a long, hard season, Premier League safety is finally confirmed after a 1-1 draw against Newcastle, coupled with a West Ham VAR-inspired loss against Arsenal. Here with me to chat about the great escape are the very relieved Chelsea, Kate and Mollo. How are you doing, Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I am very, very pleased that we are now mathematically safe. Yes, you Reds.
I'm glad you said that, actually, because I had a weekend or a day out in Cambridge on Saturday and with a load of pals getting beered up. And I saw the Mathematical Bridge, which is quite a well-known bridge in Cambridge. And I took it as an omen that seeing the Mathematical Bridge the day before we got mathematically safe.
There you go.
So, just a little story. I believe in omens.
There we go.
It's a shame you didn't see the Istanbul Bridge the week before, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, on
Someone
that note,
must have seen the Bridge of Sighs instead.
Yeah.
We can make jokes about it now. This is a good thing.
I
It
can't.
is.
Still
it
sore.
is. Yeah, Kate's here as well. How you doing, Kate? Much more in a joyful mood, not as depressed as last week.
Yeah, it is what it is, as they say, and very happy with the point at the weekend, and just said to my boys, that's it, boys, Premier League again next year. It's all good, and we had a little bit of a moment and of just really appreciating what we've got, because we haven't always had it. And okay, so we're not going to be European champions, we're not going to have Champions League next year, but we are going to be in the Premier League, and that's absolutely where we belong and where we want to be. And I think we've come very close to losing that on more than one occasion, and we know what it feels like when we do. So yeah, absolutely great. Season 5 incoming.
It is season 5 incoming, Mollo.
I'm still going through the stages of grief, so to speak. The denial's gone. I'm probably at the anger stage right now still. I'm not looking forward to depression, and maybe sometime in the middle of the summer I'll be at acceptance. However, on the Premier League front, we're safe, and it's our longest run in the top division since the Brian Clough days, so that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, and just before we crack on with the Newcastle game, I'd just like to point out somebody said a few weeks back that game week 36 would be the pivotal, decisive weekend in terms of determining Forest's survival fight, and I can't think who that was.
Me.
It hasn't finished yet, though.
No, but survival is now guaranteed in game week 36, and I said it was going to be that weekend several weeks ago. So, not that I'm taking any credit, of course. And I just want to touch on the Arsenal game. You saw the VAR decision yesterday, and what an incredible VAR. That must have been the best VAR ever, I think, from our point of view, anyway.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, wasn't it? I watched it live and said, that goal's going to be disallowed. And then they showed the replay. I said, yeah, it's going to be disallowed, but it's going to be a penalty to West Ham, which is probably what it should have been. Yeah. And then when they managed to talk, then VAR took the third option, didn't they, to be fair? Check club badge. And they went and did what they always do and favoured the big team. So I feel for West Ham. I think if they'd have drawn, we'd have been safe. And I'd much rather see Tottenham go down anyway.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in that. So let's get on to the game then. And I want to talk about the big main talking point from the game, and that is, of course, Elliot Anderson's emotional moment against his former club in the 88th minute. Of course, he scored that equaliser against the club that sold him just 2 days after he attended his mother's funeral. And clearly the emotional angle, the Newcastle connection, and the sheer importance of that goal makes it a big talking point, Kate. That's where we have to start, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what a guy. He certainly stepped up when we needed him on Sunday, and hasn't he just done that all season for us? And there is nobody that you want to see score that goal more than Elliot Anderson at the moment. It was emotional for so many reasons. It was emotional because it was him. It was emotional because, you know, the salute that he did to her, because we know his connection to Newcastle, all of those things. But also, I think just the flood of emotions as a fan, seeing that ball go in, knowing that we weren't, well, that we weren't, no, actually, I do think I knew at that point that we weren't going to lose. I felt like we weren't going to lose. I felt like we were going to take the point. And, you know, I was so happy about that, because it has been a week, you know, for all of us, for fans, for the players. And we needed that. We needed that positivity. We needed that goal. We needed that point. And he absolutely delivered that for us. So for so many reasons, that was a massive moment, and nothing but pleased for him, pleased for us, and proud to have been there to see it, because an incredible goal, really, really tight angle, not an easy goal to score at all, and also a lovely bit of skill from James McAtee, which needs to be noted, because he certainly had his critics and he seems to be coming into his own as well. So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, McAtee's a person I want to talk about later, but just staying on the goal, Chelsea, and it was a weird one, wasn't it? Because he had a mixture of joy and elation on his face, as well as pain, didn't he? Somebody scoring the goal, but going down with cramp in both legs at the same time.
You could just see, it was just like, oh yeah, and it's like, can someone help me? Just get down. But the goal, if I'm honest, I didn't see coming. It was like it just completely passed me by, and it was just like, oh, it was in. And, you know, echoing what Kate said with McAtee, you know, obviously you can see McAtee's very, very good. He's very aware of where people are in the pitch. That's one thing I've really noticed about McAtee. And obviously, I don't know whether with him and Anderson, obviously the, you know, England under-21 Euro connection, whether it was just very visible that you could see. The goal was a great goal. If I'm honest, I couldn't see us scoring. I was hoping for a 0-0. That I just couldn't see anything. You know, I couldn't see us hitting the back of the net. And I would have settled for that. Obviously, it was a draw at 1-1. And, you know, when we were 1-0 down, I couldn't see anything happening. So when that went in, did I cheer? On the inside, I did. But it reminded me very much of how it was when we won the playoffs, when that final whistle blew, and just the pure relief. And I just had my head in my hands, and I just couldn't believe that we'd scored. It was a great goal, great finish. And what a player Anderson is. The way that he has carried himself throughout the whole season, but especially more recently throughout this last month, and you couldn't have wished it for more deserving player to get that goal. Bless his heart. He's incredible, the way he carries himself on and off the pitch. Absolutely fantastic.
I mean, the mentality required to deliver under the circumstances that he's faced recently must have been incredible, and speaks a lot for him as a professional. Why Chelsea Forest fans connected with a player like Elliot Anderson, and they've got that really strong connection with him. Is it because we were hoping he was going to deliver this season, do you think, or is there any other reason why Forest fans have connected really well with him?
I just think his consistency being one, I think we feel the same about Gibbs White as well. He's just this reliable, consistent, incredibly talented player. And I think, especially with what's happened over the course of the managers that we've had, Anderson has again just remained so professional, and I think that is hugely respected from Forest fans. We saw people, you know, I'm not going to name any names, but we saw people, you know, go off the radar a bit and shy away and maybe not perform as well. And I'm not saying that he's, you know, been this 100% player every single game. We all have bad days, and I get that. But overall, when you look at it, he has been one of our most consistent players, if not the most consistent player. And I think that's why we've got a lot of respect from as Forest fans, and why he's just a hugely great asset to the club, and why we thank him all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you about the goal, Molo, not the build-up or the goal itself, but what it means. And we had a goal similar in our first season back where Awoniyi scored the goal that kept us up, and technically Anderson's goal was the same, coupled with West Ham losing. But where do you rate that goal when comparing it to Awoniyi's? Is there any, in terms of importance, are they both equally the same, do you think, or was one more important than the other?
No, the Awoniyi goal was miles ahead of it, isn't it? Because in terms of importance, for the occasion, because we still had to go to Crystal Palace away. It was a second from last game. It was in our, it became in our own hands at that moment. Whereas we left the ground very happy with the result, of course, and the goal. But then we had to either sit and watch West Ham and wait for a game to become safe when you're not even at the. It's not quite the same, is it? It's like winning the league when you're sat at home or whatever. So it's not on the same level. All I'd say is, or add to Chelsea's answer, I think the reason Forest fans respect and love him so much, before what happened recently as well, he's just a brilliant player. And in terms of consistency, he may not have been quite as consistent as Mr. Williams, but he reaches levels that no other player, apart from probably Gibbs-White, can reach. I genuinely, and I don't know if it's with my Forest glasses on, I genuinely don't think I've seen a more complete central midfielder since, well, it's a big statement, but maybe at his age, but since Paul Gascoigne, because he can do everything. You know how much I love Neil Webb. Neil Webb couldn't win a ball the way he wins a ball. Granted, he hasn't got the goal scoring yet. It's coming, clearly, of Neil Webb. But I just think he's such a good player. And that's what would be so gutting if we lose him and have to start again without him. And as Chelsea said, every game, no matter what his performance level, he's giving 100% to every single tackle, never bottles out, never steps off a challenge, goes for every header. And, it'd be a massive, massive hole if he goes.
Yeah, Kate, do you think it was a parting gift, that goal?
Don't, Simon, don't. Okay. Do you know what? We've always known he was only ours to borrow, haven't we? And, but we can't doubt his commitment to the club for the entire time that he's been here. And I think he'll always look upon it as a really pivotal point in his career, because he's absolutely bossed it. And being a Forest player, he's got his England place, and he's put himself on the map in terms of everybody wants a piece of Elliot Anderson. Yeah. So, no, I don't think it was his parting gift, because I think he's got 2 more games to score in yet. So unless it's the beginning of his many parting gifts, no, I'm not going to go along with that. What I am going to say is, just remember that this time last year we all thought that Morgan Gibbs-White was going to. So there's always a little bit of hope that Marinakis will pull something out of the bag. But, as much as I say that from a very, very selfish perspective, I want him to go on and be everything he could be, because he is an incredible footballer and he deserves an incredible career. And the fact that we've been a little piece of that and that we've got to go and watch him play is bloody great. So, amazing, Elliot.
Yeah, hopefully we'll go and see him play for England in the World Cup as a Forest player as well. That'll be something great. Yeah. Give me reason to watch England, at least.
I don't care what he does after he leaves Forest and he goes somewhere else. Sorry, it's what he does for Forest that matters. And
yeah,
England,
absolutely, fair
Forest.
point. Yeah, we'll talk about his future and other players' future in our end of season review podcast coming up in a few weeks. But for now, Pereira himself came out in the press and said, I was reading today, he doesn't yet know whether Anderson will be with Forest next season. And Vitor Pereira is somebody that I want to talk now, and the impact he's had in instigating the great escape, if you like, because Forest, let's face it, looked doomed earlier in the season. They've now secured survival. Pereira's comments about fighters and team spirit are a good starting point for a conversation to think about Pereira, because... And especially Chelsea, how has he stabilised the club? Because we all know he's the 4th manager. All of the previous 3 had their own faults to a certain degree. Yet Pereira's come in, he's garnered the club, if you like. Is it his tactics or is it his togetherness that has helped Chelsea? Can you pinpoint a particular area or a reason why it's just suddenly fallen into place for Pereira?
I think everything did fall into place. I remember when he got appointed, and I think after everything that's happened this season with Ange and obviously with Dyche, I had no expectations from him, and I thought, right, okay, come in, let's just see what you've got. Then I really didn't have any expectations, and I didn't know whether he was going to do the job. I felt like we were in such a mess, not just in the position in the league, but just how we were. It was like Forest had almost just been ripped apart a bit. The togetherness wasn't there. Us as fans, we were struggling because, you're trying to get the best out of them and be there at the games and that. And you could just see that their confidence was just absolutely shattered. And you think, wow, who is going to be able to come in and rebuild that? And I had prepared myself for relegation. I really had. And I didn't want to say it, too much, but I really did, because I couldn't see us getting out of it. Maybe that's just me being the pessimist that I am. But then, Pereira came in, and I don't know how it happened. We will never know, but it just seemed like he just put an arm around all of them. And not just the A team, but the B team as well. And he made everyone feel included. He made everyone feel important. He made them feel special and a part of it. You come and you play for this club. I want to see what you've got. You go there, you play your hearts out. And you could just see the confidence just started lifting. And what is it now? 8 games unbeaten in the Premier League? I don't think any of us thought that was going to happen. And I thought at least it was going to go down to the wire with relegation. And he's just come in and he's just brought everyone back together, and he's just bringing out the best in everybody. And I now feel like when he makes a substitution, I don't have to look at it through my hands, thinking, oh no, what's he done? Like, I remember doing it with Nuno, and you think, oh no. And I have confidence in him. And I hadn't done, I started to tail off with Nuno. Ange came in, I didn't have confidence with him from the blooming start. And then Dyche came in, and I did have confidence, and I was like, right, well, you'll fall off that pedestal that I put you on then. And he's done a fantastic job. I'm not taking anything away from the players, because, God, they've done amazing. But Pereira, big round of applause to you.
You mentioned an 8-game unbeaten run there. The Premier League put out a graphic with all of those games listed, right. And it was their longest run without defeat since 1995. And they listed all the games and the scores, but what I don't think a lot of people have noticed is they'd actually put Forest beat Newcastle 3-1, which I thought was hilarious. So great intent with that graphic, but unfortunately they got the wrong score. But I'll share it with you guys after the show. Looking ahead to the summer, Mollo, we know he's got another year on his contract to go. Do you think he's going to hopefully have the benefit of a full pre-season if he remains in post? And do you think he's going to get the full backing in the summer?
He's got to, really, hasn't he? Unless something had been done behind the scenes already, which would be weird because he signed a contract to the end of next season. I think it's important to remember, I'm hearing a lot, not just here, a previous podcast I was listening to, that we were doomed. I might be mistaken, but I think we spent less than 24 hours in the bottom 3 this season. And I feel like Pereira's done a great job. I'm not taking anything away from him. How he's done that job, I don't know specifically. There's a lot of assumptions being made in a lot of places. And he has got them a spirit, definitely. I think as well, and this is going to come across phrases very carefully. Sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than amazing. Well, we couldn't buy a goal despite a million shots. And then suddenly everything we hit was flying into the back of the net. And that was partly down to the return of Chris Wood, which I didn't think was going to have the impact it did. No. I hoped it would, obviously, coming back with that. I mean, he's kind of dipped again, hasn't he, recently? The whole match fitness thing's coming there, and we need pre-season. I think he's got to be given... We're in a position now, surely, for once, where they say, yeah, we're going to back you in the summer, and we'll talk about a contract if you want one at Christmas. But by Christmas... I doubt it, but if we sell a couple of our best players like Wolves did, who knows where we'll be if we don't replace them adequately, or we buy players from abroad who aren't ready to step in and need 2 seasons before they become half decent or whatever. But he's got to be given assurances that the pre-season's his. Well, you've got a contract till the end of next season. We'll talk again at Christmas. If that's not enough for you, then I'm sorry. We can't keep having 4-year contracts or whatever, or massive contracts with people, or an option. There's so many ways he can go about it, but he's got to. He can't get rid of a manager on the back of the run he's done. That said, Leicester did it with Nigel Pearson. It didn't turn out too bad from all those years ago. So I'm of the opinion he's done a really, really good job. We've won enough games to get out of it. We've started scoring. We're not defending amazingly, but we're doing okay again. We're back safe, we're ready, and it's all, let's be honest, we want the season to end now, don't we, so they can get ready for next season and save a few quid. Yes. The short answer, yes, got to give him a job. But that doesn't mean give him a long contract, does it?
No, exactly. I want to touch on a few individual performances, Kate. There are a few players that are worthy of a conversation after the game the other day. And the first one I'll talk about, and this is one that you noted in our WhatsApp group fairly on in the game, was Dylan Bakwa. And he started off really well in that game and generally has had a positive impact throughout the duration. I think there was one instance where he did a dodgy back pass towards his own goal, which went straight to an opponent. But apart from that, and I think I made a joke about it, didn't I? But apart from that, he had a really positive impact, and he's starting to show now some signs of there being a player there, isn't there, Kate?
Yes, there is. And I have been quite a harsh critic of his in the past, which, you know, at the time was fairly warranted because he's also put in some pretty woeful, you know, performances this season, but then hasn't everybody. But certainly at Chelsea, he was fantastic. And I always talk about the players that really catch my attention. And he certainly did that on Sunday, and he was quite close to us for a lot of it. And yes, there were some tricks and flicks which sometimes we can be a bit critical of because we want the fundamentals to be, you know, the focus of the game. But actually, he was all round very impressive, and we knew he was going to be on the team sheet. We thought he was probably going to be starting. And if he starts like that, and if he plays like he has done for the last 2 games, then that is absolutely fine by me. Keep it up, keep going, keep showing us what you're made of, and you know, the positive comments will continue to flow. So yeah, I absolutely, he caught my eye. I think he did great, and yeah, long may it continue.
I think I've just got my new fantasy team for next season sorted in terms of a name. I think I'm going to call it Sideways and Backwards.
Backward and sideways.
Backward and sideways, yes, that's a better combination. Or you could say backward the net, or backward the nets, if you have Luca Nets as well. You know, just saying. Okay. Anyway, that's the conversation for another day. But talking of Luca Nets, Chelsea, he's another player that caught my eye against Newcastle, not only for his performance, but the way he adjusted when they made that tactical switch and Nico Williams went over to the left-hand side to help him out, and he was pushed into a more midfield role, and he adjusted well to that, I thought, and had a really good game. And he's another one, like I said on a previous show, you know, he's catching the eye quite regularly, and has he done enough now to think, well, that's one less position we need to look at in the summer?
Well, you'd like to think that he has done enough. Again, it's a game time thing, isn't it? You know, he does need that game time, and I think, you know, he's, from what we've seen of him, you know, I like it. Seems to be going really well. I also think Nets is definitely one to watch for the future, definitely. He's got an absolutely sweet left foot by the looks of things, and he is able to really, like, you know, bring the ball down, kill the ball, and then go again. But yeah, definitely one for the future to look out for. He just seems very confident and very assured. And I don't know how old he is. Does anybody know?
Young, I think.
I was going to say, I know he's young, but I didn't realise what age he was. But yeah, I do feel really confident about him, you know, and I know he hasn't played, you know, many minutes, but I really like him, seeing him on the lineup. I had confidence in him, and I think that's what you need to look for in a player. So I'm really looking to see what he's going to be like next season. Yeah,
to expand on an earlier pun, you can just see it, can't you, that the Nottingham Evening Post are going to, if he scores a goal, their headline's going to be back of the nets.
Of course.
Because they can't think of anything more original than that.
Definitely.
Anyway, let's move on to McAtee. I know you've been watching him closely, a lot of people over the last few games, Mollo, and he again demonstrated that good connection with Elliot Anderson. And he's certainly another one that seems as though he's got a bit of promise. He's in a bit of a tricky spot, though, because his ideal role is obviously where Gibbs White plays. But it's important that he continues to get minutes and develop. And I think he's got a bright future too.
Yeah, I think he's not always shown what he's capable of. But what he's shown in pretty much every single game when he stepped on the pitch is an immense top-quality first touch. I think I said that right from the start back in the European days when he was very anonymous. His first touch was superb. you know yourself in football, that's a pretty good starting point. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth touch needed some work at the time in terms of his speed on the ball or whatever. But he's coming into his own now. And like the two you've already mentioned, they're all of a certain age profile as well. And they're all relatively inexperienced, and certainly in Premier League terms. And like Nets, I thought he was outstanding on Sunday, but we don't know what he can do defensively yet as a left back, do we? Maybe that's why I haven't quite trusted him. But when he stepped into midfield and he played that as a left wing back at times as well initially, they clearly trust him to do that, and we can see why. I don't think I can remember a stat, I've never seen that before, a player who's been involved in midfield, not just a centre back or whatever, has got 100% pass accuracy before. That's incredible for a midfield player, whatever the pass was. And everything else he did, he seemed to be everywhere as well, didn't he? He was gassed, to be fair. When he came off, he was proper blown. You'd expect that. And I just think the concern with McAtee, not concern, that's the wrong word. You've nailed it there, finding the right place for him, because what's by osmosis and almost accidentally, we've suddenly found this perfect role to get the very best out of Morgan Gibbs-White, where he's like to use Kate's phrase, that left 10. And that is exactly what he does, isn't it? And it works. And you've got to be a very, very special player, as well as a super duper fit individual who can run all day to do that. And that isn't, at this point, McAtee. He is a special player, potentially, but I mean, in terms of the work rate and running all day. But what we saw, he changed the game when he came on, because it was I'm sure we'll talk about it in detail, it was a drab, awful, rubbish game. I'm with you, Chelsea. I never saw us scoring once we went 1-0 down, especially the way the Newcastle players were very, 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 very good at time wasting and whatnot. I just thought, it's going to be one of those days, isn't it? And he came on and he changed the game. He added lots of little things he was doing, lots of little, linking up the play. He played further forward. He didn't come short one time in front of A-block for Anderson. Anderson balled him out. But I was thinking, actually, I don't want both of them that deep. And when he got the ball higher at the pitch, he made a difference. And obviously, the last little pass on the inside pass worked a treat. There's a player there, and you've got to group them together. I made a comment earlier, and I wrote it down. All these fringe players we signed, they're all pretty much young. They've all come either from abroad or they're very young, like obviously McAtee and Hutchinson. And players don't just very often settle straight into a new club. Like we had the miracle of Anderson, didn't we? But let's not forget, when we signed Anderson, we were told by Newcastle fans he can play anywhere across the front three. I genuinely don't think they knew what he had. Even at the weekend, Eddie Howe said, he could play a variety of positions. If you cannot see Anderson is the best centre midfielder in the country, possibly, or up there, then that's incredible from people of their experience. Or whether he's bulked out, I don't know, because he's not a wide player. He could do it. He's a centre midfielder, and maybe that's a reflection of the options they have. But yeah, getting back to him, I think he's brilliant. The thing about Luca Netz, I'm going to throw in there, we paid £2 million for him. I think we could sell him in the summer right now for 10 million. But let's keep him and let the £10 million left back that never played try and find a club somewhere, bless him. He's the most unlucky footballer ever. But
so Omar Richards.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel for that guy because he never got a chance to show us what he's about, and that's just unfortunate. But on a footballing point, this lad looks like he could be the real deal. If he can defend a bit, he could be solve a whole. We've got the full-back options then, haven't we, as a squad? Yeah. And next season, is our squad too bloated? We'll talk about that at the end of the season, I'm sure, because we've only got 38 games plus hopefully some cup runs. We shall see. But yeah, young players with certain profile. They've all shown us what they can do a little bit of, apart from one that we sent out on loan. Yeah.
I think McAtee I'd like to see play the last two games because I'm not sure Gibbs-White is going to play. I think he's done for the season. I sent a clip to you guys of him receiving his Player of the Month award at the training ground on Friday or Saturday. Can't remember which, but it was very close to the game. And he was in his kit, but he wasn't wearing shorts. He was wearing his own personal shorts. And for a player who's not participating in what was probably the last training session prior to a game, I thought he's not playing on Sunday. And I think he's done for the season, to be honest with you. And given all the other injuries they've got, there's got to be a place for McAtee in both lineups. Anyone else got anything to talk about for the game against Newcastle before we move on? Yeah, go on.
I thought the game was utterly crap and rubbish, right? And I don't care about that. The score was all that mattered. But the main reason that game was so crap was fussy, awful. Didn't affect the result, but awful referee. I know you're going to hate me for this, Simon. If I want to watch stop-start football, I watch the American version. There was no flow to it. It was stop-start. They might as well have a clock on it, and the referee was. He didn't make. I mean, he made a couple of rubbish decisions like that tackle by Milenkovic and bookings that were unfair. Let's be fair though. Can I just say, he's not the only referee that never books Joe Linton. Joe Linton is free to do what he pleases on the pitch most of the time, unless he pulls out an axe. Let's be clear. I've watched Joe Linton play a lot, and that's what he does. He's their version of Ryan Yates. No one's allowed to book him unless they absolutely have to. But his bookings were weird, inconsistent. But more than that, it just ruined the game. It was like, just let them play, man. And then the players, because they're professional, they start playing to the ref a bit, don't they? Not just them, us as well, flopping, trying to... There's some really embarrassing dives. The one that really stood out on TV was Tonali, wasn't it, when someone held his shirt? Yeah. But Jesus did the same, not with the shirt hole. He got the tiniest touch and threw himself like Tom Daly in the air. And it's never going to happen, and I know I'm an old fart, but you need to do something about this in football. It's ridiculous. This time, the players were in the wrong to do it, but it was led by an absolutely incompetent referee. Tierney should not referee competitive physical games ever.
It was just so disjointed, the whole thing, and it was just being made even more disjointed by the ref. I have actually got like my little notes that I have of the game, and I actually can't read what I've put about the ref on my notes. So I will just keep that one to myself, but everyone can, guess.
It says everything when both sets of fans are saying what an incompetent ref. None of his decisions affected the result, or nearly did, when they hit the bar with the free kick. That was never a free kick. That was right in front of us, and I was like, that's never a free kick. And then seeing it on telly, I'm like, that's not a free kick. Clearly, it was just a great little poke tackle.
I said to Dad, I was like, are we watching the same game as the ref, or is it someone completely different?
Yeah, and the players played up to him, didn't they, in the end?
Yeah.
I remember watching it and saying to Danny, well, that's a foul, that's a foul, that's a foul in quick succession. And it was like just waiting for the whistle that never came.
Yeah.
He's awful, but if anything, he blew his whistle. I don't mind refs that do that. We played a game against Bournemouth a couple of years ago where I've forgotten her name, but the female ref, just apart from not sending off one of their players who kept getting putting in big fouls, she just let them get on with it. The players reach a kind of a compromise that they're going to get stuck in, but actually the ref's not going to give these silly fouls, so we're just going to get up and get on with it. Whereas this was the exact opposite, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that was my only comment. Didn't affect the result, and I think a draw was just about a fair result. They were better than us, as you'd expect, with the number of games we've been playing, and we dug out a fantastic result with wasn't exactly a scratch side, but with a lot of key players missing. So proud of the boys, and the result was what mattered.
Yeah, exactly. You've hit the nail on the head. Digging out a result after going behind with the lineup that they had, with all of the injuries, they can only be commended for pulling that goal back. And obviously, we know the importance of it, as we've said. But is Paul Tierney the new Anthony Taylor? Do you think?
No, worse than that. There's now two of them minimum.
Isn't Anthony Taylor going to the World Cup?
Oh, brilliant!
I don't know, but it is. I try not to be too harsh on refs in some ways because it is hard. But when it's that bad, and it all, we've all been involved in grassroots in one way or another. It comes down to what's happening at grassroots, doesn't it, as well? And you just think, come on, guys, there's reason we've got such bad refs at the top is because there's such a lack of them coming through. So I guess, that's a whole show on its own. But it's just worrying that we've now got two refs that are that incompetent at the top. Yeah, and the fella's not great.
But we all know if we're all bad at our job, what happens? We get the sack.
Unless there's no one to replace you.
Well, very good point, Milo. Very good point.
Let's draw the Newcastle game to a close, unless Kate, you've got anything to add. No, have you got a quiz for us this week? By the way,
I've got a quiz.
Yeah, let's do it now, shall we? Why not?
Yeah. All right.
And Molo's getting his encyclopedia out.
No, blank piece of paper.
I don't think you're going to need a piece of paper for this one. So, Anthony Elanga, who we signed from Manchester United, don't we miss that man? The question is about him today, because obviously we are going to Man U on Sunday, nice and early start for us, Molo. Can't wait for that. So, Anthony Elanga scored his first goal for Nottingham Forest against which team?
Okay, let's reveal that at the end. Thanks for that,
What
Kate.
a day.
Yeah.
I want to continue though away from the Newcastle game, but touching on a topic that we've already started to mention, and that's this recruitment redemption arc that we're now starting to see. Now, Forest were heavily criticised for their transfer activity in the summer of 25 and January 26, and we all know who's been taking the brunt of that. And I'm talking about Edo. But when we start to think now, we look back at those transfers and which signings actually worked, you start to think about the improving back were Cunha, Net, Jesus, Hutchinson, Ortega. They're all starting to make an impression to varying degrees, aren't they? They're all starting to make an impact. So clearly there's some good recruitment that's gone on there. It may not have appeared that in earlier in the season, but now you start to think about, is there? Of course, there are those that didn't work, and I'm talking about Lorenzo Luca, Cali Muendo, John Victor, Douglas Luiz, albeit it was a loan, Cuabano from Botafogo was another one, Zinchenko, Angus Gunn to a certain extent. So there are a few that didn't work, but you're going to get that with the numbers of signings that they did make. And there's a few that are kind of on the fence that could go either way, and I'm talking about the McAtee's looking promising, the Ndoye, I'm sure there's a player in there, and the Savona is still very early days. Has the club finally found a recruitment direction, Mollo, do you think, in terms of their activity? Because it took a huge amount of criticism, didn't it? But is the tide turning slightly there, do you think?
Absolutely no idea. The reason I say that, if we had a plan to buy up-and-coming young players with the potential to be good 6 months, a year, 2 years down the line, then maybe. What we needed last summer was squad players for right now, as in for the whole European and everything. And look what happened at the end. We completely ran out of players, in a sense, in our final game. So it was an abysmal failure in terms of what was intended for this season. There's no two ways about it. We managed to get that European run, granted, and we've survived, but that was never what was supposed to happen. We still could end up in what is technically mid-table, but we never should have been dropping below mid-table with the players we already had and were looking to sign. That said, and that was a long list of failures, by the way, some of whom had gone out my head. Out of all the signings we've made, there's only two that I can say were absolute nailed-on successes, and one that now is because we paid so little for him, and that is Ortega, obviously. Yep. I think we need to sign him up for another year, definitely, to have two quality keepers for once. There's something about him. He's not that big, but he's got a presence, hasn't he? And obviously, Jesus, albeit didn't score the goals we would have liked, but for 10 million quid, and he's got a lot more to come still. So he was worth his money. And then you could add Nets to that, because we could certainly sell him on at a profit tomorrow if we needed to, not that we should. Outside of that, as you said there, Simon, they're all question marks. Now, if our policy had been a bit like what Chelsea started to do and then messed up, let's start signing a number of young players who don't need to be instant impact, then fine, because 22-year-old kid coming from France and all that in Bakwa, and a 22-year-old like Hutchinson, albeit in England, coming from Ipswich. McAtee was coming from a totally different environment in terms of having constant ball retention. They're going to take time to settle into our new way of being, a new club, a new system, a new culture. But we didn't have that time. We needed players that were ready for here and now, and we didn't have that. So going forward, they need to think, what is the plan? Obviously, if we lose players, we've got to replace them, but we are quite bloated. And these players that are starting to perform now, if we get good offers for them that we don't lose money on or we make profit on, they've got to consider it. But also, do they think, we've kind of got a squad that's going to see us through 38 Premier League games now. We can look to this and this to maybe touch up a bit. But let's keep what we've got as much as we possibly can and see if Vitor can continue this wonderful run we've been on, but the type of football we've played at times, the mentality. A guy who we were told was a constant back five merchant has only used it when he's had to use it, and used it really well most of the time. So for me, answer to your question, no, I have no clue what our transfer strategy is, and it was an abysmal failure last year. But let's see if last year's failure can then become success a year down the line. And what's his face is saying, they sacked me, but look at their players now. While we're in the Champions League positions, maybe.
Yeah, good way of describing it. Looking ahead then, Kate, what does success mean for Forest next season? Is this season now perhaps a foundation for a top half or a top 10 side? Because the way I look at it is, if you take the horrible 9-game period that Ange was in charge, that effectively was the catalyst for this season being such a struggle, you take just 3 of those 9 games and turn them into wins. Forest are sitting there currently in the table on 8th on 52 points, which is not an unreasonable thing to think about that a Premier League team could do in terms of winning a third of them games. And with that, where do you see Forest next season? And we also, in addition to that, we put out a poll on our Instagram account, didn't we? And in terms of what the fan opinion was for that, and I'll share the results with you and everybody else now. So 46% think we're going to be competing for a European spot next year. 49% think it's going to be mid-table mediocrity, and only 5% think it's going to be a dogfight down the bottom. So what do you think?
So I absolutely take the point and the theory that without a European competition, we should be challenging near the top of the table, and that, it's, the classic getting into Europe, struggling in the Premier League scenario. But I would just like to remind everybody that we are talking about Nottingham Forest, and they never, ever do what you expect them to do, or what, history tells you that they might do. So much like Mollo said with the, the transfers, who flipping knows what next season's going to look like? We've got absolutely no idea. And I'm okay with that right now, because we've had an incredible season for so many reasons, an up and down roller coaster of a season, turned us inside out, wrung us out, back to front, sent us absolutely crazy with some of the insane highs that they've been as well. And let's be honest, we were all jumping about yesterday evening celebrating the fact that we go again next year. So I think a big, catalyst, if you like, I'd overuse that word a bit, will be who is in charge at the beginning of the season, which we don't know. And also which players we are likely to retain. Because at the moment, I would say most of us are thinking that Anderson and Murillo are going to go in the summer. But is that going to be it? Or is one of them going to stay? Or is somebody else unexpected going to go? That's going to be a massive telling, because if a big player goes, who do you replace them with and how do you replace them? That's when we look to our previous recruitment and think, not our strongest point. And as much as I am very, very happy that, we're talking about players like McAtee and Backward and Nets, and how that, finally towards the end of the season, we are seeing some promise from them. I'm not sure that they're the answer in terms of every game starting 11. These are going to be the next big thing. So there's so much uncertainty, as there always is with Forest, that I think it's really difficult to say. Part of me feels like we missed a step, which we've done before, and that this season should have been, the building season, the mid-table season, and as it turns out, mid-table this season does potentially get you a European place, doesn't it? But all that being said, I wouldn't swap this season for anything. And I just, having been a Forest fan for as long as I have, there is no logic that you can apply to this to predict what's going to happen next year. All I can say is buckle up, because we'll be here for it.
I've got a question for you, Kate. I've been going around in my head, and you're not allowed to think long about it. You've got to answer instinctively.
Okay.
If it meant meeting PSR requirements, and somebody offered us 35 million for Nico, would you take it?
No.
Now answer with your football head on.
All right, answering it with a football head on this summer, if that meant yes, and it meant keeping Anderson, Gibbs, White and Murillo, then yes, I would.
Oh, 100%. I love Nico, and he's a driving force, but fullbacks are replaceable much more easily than world-class centre midfielders.
Yeah, I think
Oh, look at
we've got
Kate's
a.
face.
Yeah, sad.
It's okay.
I think we've got another Instagram poll lined up for the future, and we're going to ask those that follow us on social media.
I'll just say, I don't think they'll let Murillo and Anderson go in the same window.
No, I don't think they will.
It'll
I
be
think
one or the other.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pose a question to those that follow us on social media in a week or two around if Forest had to sell one player to comply with PSR, which one would it be out of Gibbs, White, Anderson, and Murillo? And let the fans have their say and their opinions just to find what the consensus was. I've got my thoughts, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it in a week or two. But just talking about success for a little bit longer, Chelsea around next season. From your point of view, are you purely thinking about survival, again, just survival, or are you a little bit more ambitious and wanting to think a bit more looking upwards?
Oh, definitely looking upwards. I don't want to be in a position, again, where we're just having to survive. I can't go through another season where I just want to feel a little bit calmer. I want to enjoy myself a bit more. Not that I haven't enjoyed this season, but I don't want to feel like I can't eat for like half the day because I know I'm going to watch Forest play. I just need my adrenaline to just calm down just a little bit. I would love to have, maybe like I said it in Ben's podcast. I'd like imagine just like finishing 10th, never being in the relegation, just like having an enjoyable season, like winning games, like getting. But I'd love a season like that. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. No way. Because if we're not in a relegation battle, we're in a Europe battle at the other end, and I'm hoping it'll be a Europe battle. I'd much rather be at that end of the scale, but who knows? And like Kate said on Ben's podcast to me, it doesn't happen like that at Forest. Something happens where we've all got like holding our stomachs with nerves and just waiting for that next game, but we'll just see what next season brings. But like Kate said, buckle up because we're all in it together.
We are. I've just realised we haven't done our man of the match votes for Newcastle yet, and these are important because we're getting towards the end of the season now where we're looking at working out who is going to be the Tricky Talks podcast player of the season. So every vote now counts. So very quickly, let's do a man of the match awards. Kate, start with you very quickly.
Now I want to vote for Nico just to try and sway the whole season in his
No
favour.
tactical voting here.
Yes, tactical voting.
It's not a referendum.
It's not Eurovision, Kate.
Nil point. So I'm going to have to go for Anderson.
Yeah, Molo.
Anderson.
You're going to say I was going to say. I thought you were going to say Nico for a minute.
Next was my other one in my thinking, but Anderson was immense, wasn't he?
Chelsea.
Anderson.
Yeah, it has to be, doesn't it, given what we said at the top of the show and the circumstances around that. So 4 to Anderson gets added onto the tally. 2 games to go, so we'll soon know who is the Tricky Talks podcast player of the year. Should we get a trophy and present it to him?
I'm sure.
Should, yeah.
Could try.
If it is Nico, I'm presenting it.
And I know Chelsea likes Anderson, so if it's him, you can present it, Chelsea.
Yeah, and if I Sangari, get Molo to do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Sorry, Molo, love you really.
Won't be me then for presenting it.
Yeah. No,
He's not even playing, is he?
No, I think he's probably another one done for the season. I won't be
Can I
surprised.
just say, success next season for me is, I nearly swore then, is to win a flipping semi-final.
Yeah.
Sick of losing semi-finals.
Yeah, I know. We've had 3 now, haven't we? Yeah.
Apart from the playoff semi-final, remember we did that list of our most recent semi-finals, and I listed 15 of them. Don't win too many of them since those League Cup days, have we?
Okay. Right, Chelsea, have you got an FPL update for us, please?
I have.
Go for
as we are only 2 game weeks away. Right, Simon, you are still in 4th. Simon, 4th. 69 points so far, though, but you have got 4 players left to play. So, you're doing all right. And Molo, you have gone down to 15th, weirdly, but you got 78 points so far.
Huh?
78 points you're on.
I haven't changed my team. I'm sticking with the lads who got me into the top 10.
You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, yeah, I did with 78 points. I did change
I've got my free hit for the last game.
Well, you've got 3 players left to play. I've kept in 18th place with 64 points. I've got 5 players left to play because I did have Gibbs White, and Trossard was on the bench, so he will come in. So I'll gain an extra 7 points from him.
Hey, I need to drop Gibbs White.
Oh, you're right, Molo.
Yeah, I've just remembered Gibbs White injured, isn't he?
Yes,
Point.
yeah.
You just
Then Kate,
realised,
you up.
yeah.
No, I've just realised because I've changed my team, stuff like that. Sorry.
Are you right?
Yeah,
Kate,
yeah.
you are
thinking
up
of it.
to 25th place, not 28th anymore. 63 points with 3 players left to play. And I did see that Watkins was on your bench.
I
Was
know.
that a
Well,
pride thing, Kate?
he might come in because I had Casemiro, and he's not played, has he? But I'm just annoyed with myself because I meant to triple captain Haaland and I didn't because it's the double game week, and now I'm going to have to do it on a different week, and won't mean as much.
Yeah,
didn't
apparently Guardiola's come out saying he's going to have to rotate in advance of the cup final, so there is a risk here that Haaland won't play on Wednesday and won't get the benefit of a double game week and being a triple captain.
Oh, well, maybe it's not so bad then.
Yeah, there you go, Kate. But yeah, I just wonder whether you kept Watkins on the bench just as like a pride thing. Like, no, get on the bench. Don't want you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And the highest scoring Forest player was Anderson, and rightly so, with 12 points. And I would just like to say that the top of our leaderboard is still Gareth Parry. So he's got overall 2,201 points, and he played his bench boost this week, and he's got 70 points so far. So, and with quite a few players still left to play. So yes, it's between really, well, depending. Simon, have you got it in you for the next couple of game weeks?
I think I'm too far behind with just 2 weeks left
Far
now.
behind. Well, my cousin, Mr. Jack Harrell, is in second place with 2,168. So you never know. Still to play for, and we do have a prize at the end. So 2 more game weeks left. Don't forget to play those chips, everybody. And that is my FPL update.
Cool, thanks for that, Chelsea. Let's go back to you then, Kate, before we close the show, and let's talk about the quiz question, if you'd like to remind everyone, please.
So Anthony Elanga, who we signed from Manchester United, against which team did he score his first goal for Nottingham Forest? And Molo's nodding away, so he obviously knows this one. And you
Could be
should
wrong.
know this one.
Well, I just remember he came off the bench and caused absolute carnage in that away end. But I'll leave it for Simon.
I've got it as an away game, but I want to see if Chelsea knows. Have you guessed Chelsea or not?
God, Chelsea, have a guess, Chelsea.
Was it me?
Yes. Yeah, that's why I wanted
I was like-
to. That's why I wanted to hand it to you, Chelsea, for that
Yeah.
reason.
It was me. I don't, single-handedly. I'm glad he won against me. Brilliant.
Yeah, excellent, good stuff. Right, any final thoughts, Chelsea, then, before we draw to close?
I'd just like to say, obviously, I agree with Molo. It was an absolutely, awful game to watch from both sides. But we were running on fumes, and it has been a tiring season. And, I'm just want to say that, I am proud of them all. And it has been a great season. And it's just nice to be able to breathe for the last 2 games. And I'm just very much looking forward to enjoying myself, having a party, and just ready to go again next season.
So we all come around yours, then,
Come on
for
in.
that party.
Yeah, sausage rolls are banned from this house because I miss goals when sausage rolls are involved. So, no.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Now we know we're staying up, and Ipswich are going to be in the Premier League. We have to have a party around yours, don't we?
We do have to have a party around mine because I will be coming to Ipswich away. Definitely. Even Ben's already said that. He's like, I'm getting you a ticket. I was like, don't worry, I'll be
I love
there.
that Ben's getting you a ticket. Yeah, we'll see who gets you a ticket.
Thanks,
Who
Kate.
offered it on last time, Chelsea?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was.
Not that I would ever give my ticket away, of course. I just happened to hear that there was one for sale on the site for members at that exact point, just in case anyone was watching.
Fixtures out middle of June, so we'll know more at that point when Forest play Ipswich away. So we'll see.
Carl, you've got to ask what Kate thinks about you saying it's been a long, tiring season for the players.
Do you know what, though,
Sorry.
Tracy? This time next month, you'll be on withdrawals. You'll have
I
had
will.
your
100%.
rest. Your adrenaline will have sorted itself out, and you'll be thinking, flipping heck, how long is it till August?
Yeah. And everybody knows how much I love the transfer window.
Oh,
And then
I
there's the
know.
bank balance.
I don't know about anybody. I'm starting to get anxiety about it being over. I'm like, it's 2
I can't
games
wait
to
for this
go.
season to be over now after last Thursday. Would have been the exact opposite, but now I'm just like, yeah, get it done, and then have a breather, watch some cricket, and go again.
And the World Cup.
Yeah. Well, Anderson, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I was going to, sorry.
Go on, Mollo, finish up.
No, I was
Anything
going to say, only thing I would add, I think the perfect player to replace Anderson in the position he's in would have been a young Brazilian lad who's ripping it up at the moment by the name of, written it down, Danilo. If he's got someone play, I know, and I know he's a different type of player before somebody says, do you know nothing about football? But Anderson plays in front of Sangari, doesn't he, when they're together? Although I quite like it when he plays with Dominguez, because I think as a partnership it works a lot better than previously. But if you had Anderson sitting deep, if we'd have kept him, and Danilo in front in the form he's now showing, imagine. But that's by the by. Sign him anyway.
Yeah, is Danilo in the Brazil World Cup squad?
I don't know. He has been in recent squads, hasn't he?
Okay.
He's grown his hair long as well. I didn't recognise him to start with.
I've seen that. Yeah.
He looks like a sort of, what's his face, scored against England in the World Cup in
Ronaldinho.
That's it. He looks like Ronaldinho when he's running now.
Anything from you, Kate?
No, not really. I'm going to enjoy these last two games. Let's enjoy this feeling of safety. Let's go out and have some fun, and let's look forward.
Let's win.
Yeah, I think the Bournemouth game I'm coming up for with Danny and my brother, and I believe that's the first game not on TV for I don't know how long, either on Sky or TNT. But yeah, talking of which, we'll be back for another show at some point covering the Manchester United and the Bournemouth games. So once again, thanks everyone for listening or for watching, and we shall talk to you again real soon.